I think the reason why Kate is being so brutal is because I think for her the idea of a slave is very normal because she has always seen it like that. So I was thinking maybe, man, Rose was brutal back in the day with doing all the shit that she does. But then I realized that it's not the case actually. What's happening here is that she just has lived that sort of life her entire life. So she doesn't even understand the concept of like, why the fuck would a slave actually run away? It makes no sense. It's like running away from duty or whatever, or something like that. Okay. Where are we? No, Rose says she sees the noble pull out a pouch of gold coins from his pocket. I'm not looking for any reward. I only did what I thought was right. How commendable, the noble says with a look full of respect in his eyes. He puts the gold pouch back in his pocket. It is rare to see someone with such high moral value in this day and age. Whatever you do, remember to never let go of these principles, for it is these principles that truly make us human. This is hilarious. I think that the nobles are not bad people then. They just don't understand like what is the problem with having slaves and treating them the whatever way you want. Like they just don't. I think it might be biological then. It's not just societal. I mean, eventually someone would be like, oh man, these slaves live such bad lives or whatever. But it's like, I think it might just be built into the biology of the Varathian people. I mean, from the sounds of it, it honestly feels like Aiden, when he made these people, he didn't make them correctly, because people on the other continent would feel like for these slaves, and that's why slavery is not so prominent on other continents as far as I can remember, compared to this one. Varathia is far more than it must be biological to some extent, or maybe just everyone's just everyone's just like afraid. But it's like, it just feels like they genuinely believe that they are in the right. So I feel like it might just be actually, yeah, they just believe they're good people. It might just be biological, but we can't be too sure of that. I don't think the story wants it like that, but okay. Yes, sir, I will remember, Rose says. Very well, the noble says. In that case, we will take our leave and bother you no longer. Farewell, thank you once again. Goodbye, Rose says as she watches the noble dragging the slave after him until he leaves the alley together with his men. Arka laughs, obviously. Arka says, did you hear that? Did you hear what she said to that slave? Oh man, I can't believe she actually used to think like that 6 years ago. How brainwashed can you be? And then that was that noble with his speech about principles. I can't take it anymore. This is actually kind of hilarious. I would agree with Araka on this. This is actually kind of funny. Zaraka continues to laugh. There is a sudden flash of light, and then we are all transported inside a fancy manor where the noble from before is now mercilessly beating his slave to death. The slave girl is just lying on the ground without moving or saying anything while she gets hit, and Rose is right there in front of her in her semi-transparent form, watching the scene unfold in front of her eyes with a horrified look on her face. Because she's just that much of a good girl. She's kind of like Darren, honestly, but like far more like connected to the people that are suffering. I mean, not saying that Darren is not, but like she is on another level on this shit, honestly. Okay, I think I might finally be getting somewhere with our escape plan. Like I says, just give me a few minutes and I'll bury Luna. We hear Rose say as we now notice that she's looking straight at us. Can you hear us? Can you see us? I ask, shocked as I look at Rose's eyes as well. Oh right, I forgot, Arka says. She's spending half of her ritual in a semi-transparent form, so she'll practically in the same world as us now. And I'm sorry to interrupt your reunion, but our way out is finally clear and I don't want to waste this opportunity. You better get yourself ready for some strong nausea because our comfort will be very last thing on my mind. Our comfort is the very last thing on my mind when we escape this place. Are we gonna shout like, do the same thing you did before or something like that? But she seems to have figured it out, but whatever. Escape this place. After Arka finishes her... I mean, can you imagine that? I mean, think of it this way, like... think of it this way. If you were like a believer of some god or whatever, right? And then you lived in some backward-ass country, and then you like killed like children or like on a pedestal or some shit. for like whatever your god sacrifices and all that stuff, like torture children and stuff like that. And then like maybe said 20 years later you've like changed now, you finally like, I don't know, changed to another religion or become an atheist or realize the wrongdoings of your ways, and you're like, oh man, that was like horrible shit I did back in the day, and then you have to do it again and you have to act like you did it the same way. That is really funny. I do understand what Araka understands funny about psychological torture in this manner, at least. Where are we? After Arka finishes the sentence, I feel a strong headache all of a sudden, and then we all get transferred back to our real world in the blink of an eye. Once we return to our regular non-transparent bodies, we take a look around and we see that we are still standing in the middle of the same forest where we were when our ritual started, next to all of our friends. It appears that time is still frozen in the world, and that is not everyone has managed to get out of the trance just yet. The ones who finished their trial, aside from us, seems to be Melindra, Layla, Hadrick, who are all looking at us, while Darren, Kate, and Rose are still staring blankly in front of them with barely glowing eyes. Oh, Darren, Kate, and Rose are still stuck. Fucking hell. We made it, Arka says, sounding both surprised and really the same. We made it. We got out there alive. Take that, Magium, you son of a bitch. Could you maybe avoid taunting the Magium when you're still technically standing right on its doorstep? Eluna says, relax. Arka says, everything is under control. I got us out of there alive, didn't I? And besides, I wasn't even insulting it. I was giving it a compliment by treating it as if we're an actual person. You're acting as if you've already forgotten what can happen when you ignore my warnings, Eluna says in a serious tone. Would you perhaps like me to give you a small reminder by teleporting us back into the world we just escaped from? Seems then Eluna's question has rendered Araka completely silent. She can do that? How the fuck can she do that? Okay. A few more seconds of waiting for an answer, Luna continues. You know that I can do it, she says. You're the one who taught me everything I know after all. Alright, you win, Araka says in a somewhat panicked tone. I'll shut my mouth, okay? Or just a little gloating, that's all. You don't have to be so upset over it. Araka sounding scared, Hadrick says with a grin, although I can see from the uneasy look in his eyes that he's still affected by whatever happened to him in this ritual. Now that's something you don't see every day. If you think she's scared now, then you should have seen her earlier. Trust me, if you have gone through what we just did, you'd be panicking like that too. Actually, you have a pretty uneasy look about you. Did something happen during her? I think that's personal. I highly doubt she will be okay with telling us that. Trust me, if you had gone through what we did, you'd be panicking just like that too. Well, you know me, Barry, Hadrick says. Even if I'm scared out of my wit, I still would never pass up a good challenge. That's so, Araka says. In that case, you must have absolutely loved your ritual, because from what I saw, to say that your trial was a challenge would be quite an understatement. What do you know about my ritual? Hadrick says as he regains the uneasiness from before in his eyes. More than you think, dwarf, Araka says. I'm not talking only about your trial from the god of time. I also looked through some of your memories, since they were pretty much out in the open. You were trapped in there. When you were trapped in there, I saw some very interesting things while I was looking through the memories that were related to your ritual. When we tell you what I found out, you're bluffing, Hadrick says as I see him starting to sweat a little. You're just trying to bait me into giving that information away myself. How stupid do you think I am? I don't know, dwarf, Araka says. How stupid are you? For the next few seconds, the two of them remain completely silent. Hadrick watches Araka's amulet intensely, while a few more drops of sweat form on his forehead. But seriously though, I was only joking, Araka says all of a sudden. I have absolutely no idea what was going on in your ritual. The only reason that I said all that was because you pissed me off and I wanted to make you sweat like a pig. Who's the one panicking now? Araka is such a fucking blasted old hag, Hadrick says as he relaxes a little. You didn't really get to see Hadrick's ritual then, I ask Araka. Nah, Araka says, there's just too many of them for me to have time to see them all. Well, anyway, it's pretty obvious that his ritual wasn't all sunshine and rainbow either, but I guess we're all just going to have to wait until he feels like telling us about it. If we want to find out what it was, personally, I don't mind all that much. It's not like we don't have anything better to do at this point than to listen to his sob story. You know what I'm saying? Not long after we finish our conversation, Darren's eyes lose their bright yellow color as he finally exits his trance. I think we should rush over to him and give him a big old hug, because he definitely needs it. Not long after we finish our conversation, Darren's eyes lose their bright yellow colors. He finally exits his trance as well. The look that he has now on his face is darker than it's ever been before. I'm not surprised. From his perspective, it was probably only a few moments that he had to willingly let the slave girl die in front of his eyes so he could complete his trial. Oh, look, the healer's out, Araka says. How's it going, Darren? Had fun in your ritual? Darren chooses to completely ignore Araka's question. He returns to me instead. How many are still inside their ritual? Darren asks. Only Kate and Rose? Yeah, only Kate and Rose, I say. You can tell from the glowy eyes. I think that we need to wait for everyone to be done with the first stage before you can pass on to the next one.